Picture this. You're sitting at the dinner table with your family in a suburban neighborhood. Now you're having a nice little conversation with your dad, asking you how your day's been. You're like, it's been pretty good. I did this at school. And then the animals attack. They come in from all the windows, all the doors. They set up traps.
They want your house. They want what was theirs. Your house used to be a forest, but not anymore. It's a suburb now. They're going to take it back.
That's the whole point of this movie, Furry Vengeance, starring Brenden Fraser, which I just want to mention this. He totally deserves that standing ovation. He deserves that. I am so glad that he's back into acting. I missed him so much, but this was one of his last films before he got blacklisted by Hollywood. Now he's like whitelisted again. I don't know what he just kind of got back in there. He's the main character in this movie, and it's it's a stinker. Pretty bad. Furry Vengeance was made in 2010 and has a 7% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a child's comedy movie, and so it's not going to be good, if that makes sense. So the movie starts out with a cute little groundhog eating in the middle of the road. First of all, he shouldn't be eating in the middle of the road. It's a problem we have all around the world. Animals just eating in the middle of the road. I'm gonna make this an animal problem, not a human problem. The little groundhog is eating in the middle of the road, and then this sports car comes zooming around the corner and is going to hit him. Luckily, he misses, but the groundhog screams for legit like 10 seconds, like uninterrupted screaming. And what does this do? This alerts the raccoon, the leader of the pack, the one that is the mastermind behind all of the traps that are going to be played in this movie. Played? Did I use the right word there? All the traps that are going to be used throughout this movie. After he alerts the raccoon boy, it goes back to the dude in the sports car, which is some businessman. Then he scouted the forest, scouted the area, and he thinks it's a perfect gold mine for a brand new suburb. They're supposedly a green company. Turns out they're not so very green after all, because the CEO of the company throws a cigar out of the window. A lit cigar at that. Homeboy even says, he says the words.
Give a hoot. Don't pollute. Whatever.
So he knows what he's doing. He knows. As soon as the cigar hits the ground, a hawk sees it and he goes and picks it up because he is a good Samaritan that knows not to litter. He also knows that humans are destroying their forests. The hawk dude flies over the raccoon, who's now in the middle of the road too, and drops the cigar in front of him to show him that we have a problem on our hands. So the raccoon sets in phase 1 of the trap. He signals to a little ferret boy that the trap is a go, and the ferret boy sees the car coming down the road, and then he like hits this pine cone on this log that's like carved out. I don't know who carved it out. Some man-made. They carved out with their teeth, I'm guessing, because they're animals. It just sends this pine cone to hit this rock, or to hit this stick, and that stick unleashes a rock, and then this rock rolls down, hits an even bigger rock, and that rock hits a bigger rock, and then that rock hits his car, makes him spin out, and then he's on the side of a cliff. He's trying to escape the car, but the raccoon's there holding his cigar, and he's like, here's your cigar back, mister. And then the dude's like, oh, bad raccoon. Then the raccoon blows the car off the cliff and murders this man in front of us, and it is awesome, and I love him. Instantly my favorite character. And then we get to meet our main character, Dan Sanders, Brenden Fraser. He's at his new home in the middle of the forest, and there's construction going on outside, and this construction place is insanely dangerous. Like, they have to dodge like 4 things in order to get across the street. Like, watch.
Leaving on site. Doc, I have a question. You have the answer. That's the way you get things done around here. These past few months have been a blessing for you. Look out! How? So, good progress on...
Anyways, after that, he's talking about the progress of the houses, and he's talking about like, his house is better than this one. What's going on with this one? Apparently there's a beaver dam behind one of the houses, and they can't start construction because there's a beaver dam. Dan asks, well, can you guys do something about it? And then the construction dude's just like, I can make it look like an accident.
I can make it look like an accident. Oops. I accidentally left a stick of dynamite inside the beaver dam. Boom!
That's so fucked up. After that, Dan's like, we probably shouldn't do that. Let's just find another way to get rid of the beavers. And then he turns around, walks back to his house. He sees a squirrel eating his blueberries. Well, Dan doesn't appreciate the squirrel eating the blueberries, so he turns the sprinkler system on the squirrel. So Dan isn't as much of a good guy as you think he is. Dan walks in, and his wife is insane because they were like city people before. They lived in Chicago, and now they live in the middle of the woods. So she's used to, I guess, blaring horns and traffic all night. So she has that on in her headphones as she sleeps, and I don't understand, but okay, yeah, cool. He's doing his morning routine, you know, the normal stuff. You get breakfast and then yeah, you do your morning workout. But this dude has the stiffest, goofiest run I've ever seen in my life. Look at this shit. Look at him. Why? Why are you running like that? What's up with this? Then it cuts to the squirrel who is telling the raccoon about the sprinkler issue, and that angers the raccoon. So the raccoon lets the carnage begin. And then you go back to the family and then you meet his son Tyler. His son Tyler is very mad at him because he moved him away from all his friends and his school and his city, and now he lives in the honky-tonk town in the middle of Oregon, and he does not appreciate any of it. After that, Dan grabs a picnic basket and he has a meeting with his CEO, his big boss, to pick him up and bring him back so he can check out the land and see what's going to happen. He walks the picnic basket out to the car and then he sets the picnic basket in the back of the seat. And then the raccoon sneaks inside the picnic basket and then he gets to go with him on his little big fancy meeting. Dan drives an hour to meet his absolutely insane boss. 90% of the people in this movie are like completely insane, but like I think the boss is the most insane. Well, no, there is this old lady that she's a little kooky, but he's pretty crazy. He's like, listen to this.
Actually, no, that's Excuse me?
The boss does not want to drive an hour to go check out this place, so they just have the meeting inside of his private jet right there on the spot. And while they're having the meeting, the boss releases his new plan. His new plan is to wipe out the whole forest and put in suburbs and golf courses. But they're going to have a forest-themed mall, so it's all okay, right? But the raccoon overhears this because the raccoon's in the picnic basket that Dan brought with him onto the private jet so he can give the sandwiches to the boss, but the boss doesn't like sandwiches because the boss is absolutely insane. But the raccoon overhears it, then he knows what's going to happen. So you know what that means? The raccoon has to do everything in his power to kick them out. They gotta go. They can't stay. No more. After he gets home, he tells his wife and son about it, and they hate him for it even more than they hated him before. Nobody in his family likes him like throughout this whole movie because he's kind of an asshole, but he's also on the wrong side. They see that very instantly, and he just won't listen to them. And then I see the best product placement, the most subtle product placement I could ever see. Watch this. See if you notice the product placement.
How is ripping out the forest good for the environment?
It's not like that. We're Lyman Enterprises. We're the good guys. We're green.
Yeah, isn't the color of money.
And speaking of money, who wants a new Wii? Huh?
Ah!
Did you see it? See the product? It's very subtle. I don't know if you've noticed it. Here, I'll put a circle around it. Right there. Yeah, it's the cooking light allure nonstick ceramic cookware silicone stay cool handle saucepan. When did that get back there? I didn't even see it the first few times. It's pretty crazy. The raccoon assembles the Forest Avengers, and they're going to do everything in their power to make Dan leave as fast as they can. So that starts phase one. Phase one is just to annoy him as much as possible, and it starts off with little things like poop on the car, and then the raccoon is eating his blueberries, and he also chewed a hole in the sprinkler system, so that's a little bit of an inconvenience too. Then they make the animals even more mad, and Dan makes his family more mad because he literally blows up the beaver dam. That actually happened. I didn't think that was going to happen, but that happened. The next part of phase one is just to use the same trap that they used on the first guy on Dan, and it almost worked. After a small argument with the raccoon in the middle of the road, Dan decides to play a game of chicken with the raccoon in his car. While they're playing this game of chicken, the raccoon sets off the trap that hit the first guy, and it actually doesn't hit Dan, but he still falls off the cliff. What happened was he hit a sign, and while he was playing the chicken game, his boss Neil called him, and so he was trying to talk to Neil, and he had the phone, and then he lost service, so he was trying to find service and then walked off the cliff like a dumbass. And so obviously after he doesn't go to the meeting and he's not home and he's been missing for a few hours, people start getting worried, and that's when we meet another insane character. We meet this insane cop that works for Neil, and he quote unquote
Protect his assets, if you will.
whatever that means. He also has like an arsenal of guns in the back of his truck at all times, which is concerning to me. I don't trust the dude with like even a pocket knife, much less an M16 just fully loaded in the backseat. Anyways, he's trying to frame Tammy, Dan's wife, for the murder of Dan, even though she didn't do anything. Dan actually crawls back from the woods and immediately calls Neil. It's another point to prove that Dan is a little bit of an asshole because he would rather call his boss than make sure his family family and him are okay. After he apologizes to his wife for doing that, they both go to sleep. And then the last part of phase 1 is a go. A crow pecks at Dan's window all night long. And only Dan can hear it because his wife wears like earbuds with the traffic noises because she's insane and misses Chicago. So she doesn't hear anything, but Dan hears it all night long. And then he finally gets fed up and sticks his head out the window and yells at the bird, which wakes up his wife. Dan keeps waking his wife up because he's yelling at the bird. So she banishes him to the couch. And after Dan gets on the couch, the bird follows him. So he decides to sneak to another couch and the bird finds him again. So Dan decides he's just gonna kill the bird. And that plan goes bad. It's gonna go bad. Everything is gonna go bad for this man. With a little help from the crow, he actually slips off the roof and falls into their hot tub that's below. His son finds him in the jacuzzi the next morning and look at him. Look at that face. Doesn't he look just so excited to find his dad in the jacuzzi? Timmy suggests therapy, which is a great idea, but Dan denies it because he wants to keep his boss happy. The pet set off a few more traps to drive him a little bit more insane. For example, the raccoon turns off his treadmill while he's running. Thank God. I don't know how much more of that dumbass run I could handle. They put acorns in his cereal. And then the raccoon guides some skunks into his car. And you can guess what happens when, skunks do their thing. Although I don't believe skunks leave like a smoke screen when they're not Pokemon. They don't leave like a smoke screen when they spray. It just looks like he hotboxed his car before he left for work. Another thing they do is the animals, they steal all of Dan's clothes, which forces him to wear his wife's clothes onto his meeting with his big boss. And then he embarrasses himself in front of the whole crew of workers. But to be fair, after they catch him, he kind of just owns it and he acts like he wore that on purpose. So he works it. He works it good. And after the skunk incident, the workers were nice enough to go get his car washed and detailed. But that didn't last long because there was another skunk hidden in the console. So yay. Then we meet a new character, a pretty normal person, actually, for the first time ever in this movie. Tyler's at school and he meets the love of his life, Amber. And a big surprise, Charity hates him and his family because they're destroying the forest and putting in suburbs. But Tyler somehow smooth talks his way into that situation. So good props for him. So Dan actually finally makes a meeting with Neil and they have to find a way to appeal to these Indian investors that are coming down. They're coming in 11 days. His assistant offers an Indian barbecue, which sounds fun on paper, but then she does this.
We have 'em buffalo burger, and we have 'em wigwam, and teepee, and squaw. Oh, squaw, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, dumbass, wrong Indian. Then Dan offers that they sponsor the summer festival, and Neil loves that idea because it'll make him look good in front of the investors and the people. And then Dan gets attacked by a buzzard that screams like a dinosaur. Listen.
Yes, excellent, sir.
Also, the CGI for the buzzard is like terrible, like horrendous, horrible. Look at this, look. And to get away from the dinosaur vulture or buzzard, Dan jumps into a bush full of bees and then it left him looking like this. Wonderful, isn't it? Luckily, Tammy is a saint and somehow heals him and gives him some tea to help him sleep. While he's asleep, Dan hears noises downstairs. And when he goes downstairs, he sees this. Insane, right? Yeah, it better be insane because it's a dream. He's having nightmares about these animals now. And then he wakes up to tell Tammy, and then this happens.
Worst nightmare.
And luckily it was another dream, but like, what the fuck? Why? After Dan's nightmare, he starts setting traps for the animals everywhere, literally everywhere in the backyard. Now, this is a man who needs therapy. Dan explains to Tammy with great detail that the animals are out to get him, and she doesn't believe him and sends him straight to therapy like he needs. And while Dan is at therapy, the animals just go ham on his car. They're eating every wire. They're pulling everything out. They're going crazy in that car. Dan somehow caught on that the raccoon's the leader. I don't know how or when, what indication gave him that, but he figures it out somehow. Then the therapist does an exercise with Dan to help him stop seeing animals. And look at these ink block tests. I feel like they're trying to nudge him towards seeming insane at this point. While he's taking another exercise, just like deep breaths, the animals decide to take his car for a joyride. Dan leaves his therapy session early to go get his car. Now I can safely say Dan has gone fully insane because he lets the skunk spray him in the face, not once, twice. right in the face. He says, give it to me. He's crazy. He's gone crazy. Dan buys and sets up a shit ton of baby monitors to monitor the house for any of the animals. And while he's setting it up, Tyler shows some compassion for his dad. And also Tyler brings some important information about the town. There has been many others who have wanted to build on the mountain, and all the animals did the exact same thing that they're doing to Dan to them. Also, is that a saber-toothed raccoon? I want a saber-toothed raccoon. When did those actually exist? Tyler also finds out that Neil has deep pockets in the government, and that Neil got the government to rezone a nature preserve so that he could build this suburb. Then the next morning, the raccoon sets a trap for Dan. You wanna know what that trap is? It's a bear. He just sicks a bear on Dan. It went from like, funny little pranks to run or you'll die. You'll die. It went to 0 to 100 real fucking quick. Dan hides in the porta potty from the bear and somehow loses his pants in the process. I don't know when or how. They get like sucked into the porta potty. I don't know how that's physically possible, but it happens. Anyways, the bear just tosses Dan like a basketball for a while. And the next morning they find him still in the porta potty in a tree, just sitting to poop and pee for hours and hours. And according to everybody's reaction, it looked pretty bad. While he's getting out of the porta potty, Dan spots the raccoon in his yard. So he steals the cop's truck and chases after him. Dan goes full Rambo mode on this raccoon. But when he actually catches him, he just can't kill him. But the raccoon has no problem straight up attacking and kicking the shit out of Dan. Just beating his ass and literally peeing on him. Literally peeing in his face. Dan was losing the fight with the raccoon until the cop came and shot him with his...
Shut up with my tranquilizer gun. He just taking a tranquilizer gun nap.
I'm not kidding. He says words like tankerizer throughout the whole movie, and it's the worst thing ever. Makes me want to give him a tankerizer gun nap too. So him and Dan decide they're gonna shoot and trap all the animals in the forest and leave them in cages, which seals his fate as the biggest asshole in this movie. As they're trapping all the animals, Dan actually starts feeling a little bit guilty and kind of lonely that the animals are gone. Oh, I forgot to mention that Tammy's actually the leader of the Forest Festival this year. So when Neil comes to discuss the plans for sponsoring the event, he suggests that they drop all the eco-friendly stuff. Like, it's literally called the Forest Festival. That's the whole point of the festival. It's the Forest Festival. Anyways, Tyler and Amber are out for a forest jog / hike. Tyler tries to convince Amber that his dad isn't bad. He's just a little lost at the moment. And then they find the animals in the cages in the middle of the woods. This royally pisses Amber off and she dumps Tyler right on the spot and runs away. Cut to Dan doing some work, actually happy for him once, when Tammy comes in complaining that Neil is destroying the Forest Festival. And then as she's complaining to Dan about that, Tyler barges in and tells him that he found the cages and that he's very pissed off. Then Dan makes it all about him.
Well, I'm the bad guy? Oh, come on. No.
After his family argument, Dan visits the animals, and this is when he finds out that the raccoon is actually a parent and has kids. So the raccoon was just protecting his kids from the evil man. Cut to the festival, Neil is showing the investors around, and Amber is petitioning to stop the development of Rocky Springs. Tyler hears this from inside and decides to run outside and join her. Tammy also throws some shade at the development right in front of Neil's face, and then Tyler and Amber do the same. They talk about how relocating the animals is actually killing them, and how they need to stay in their natural habitat. Then the investor sides with Neil because he wants to make money and animals aren't that important, which is the most insane reason to not want to do that. You kind of want wildlife so people want to visit your area, but he doesn't care about killing animals at all. And of course, this pisses off everyone, even Dan. To gain their trust back, Dan releases all of the animals. So he finally did something good. All the animals decide to destroy the festival, Braveheart style. But first, they have to murder the psycho cop and steal his car. While Neil is giving a speech, Dan grabs a megaphone and starts yelling, "Stop the development of Rocky Springs." So he's full 180 swap sides. He calls Neil out for being a fraud and calls him out on everything else that he's done. Then he apologizes for everything he's done to the community. Neil sends security on Dan, and as they're signing the papers to secure the development, a bird poops on the contract, and the investor's like, "I'm not signing this." Then the animals run the cop's car straight through the middle of the festival. They have bomber squads, they have infantry, they have a bear on their side. They're going to win. After the animals win, Dan gains the trust of his family again. A fox steals the contract and runs away with it, but this guides Neil to the back of the cop car with all the arsenal guns and the tranquilizer gun. So Neil decides if he takes out the raccoon, then everybody would stop. So Neil gets his sights on the raccoon, and then Dan throws his phone at Neil as hard as he can. This knocks Neil off balance, and he shoots the investor. And then I think they ran out of budget for the rest of the movie because the CGI goes from like pretty decent to god horrible. Like, it is so bad the last 10 minutes of this movie. Anyways, the development doesn't happen. Dan becomes a park ranger for the area, and they live happily ever after. Oh, and there's a terrible music number at the end. They're singing Insane in the Membrane, and they like make, it's just bad. It's just so bad. Even though it's like a terribly executed movie, it's not bad. It is bad. It's very bad, actually. It's very horrible. It has a good message to kids. But if I would have watched this as a kid, I probably would have been deathly afraid of animals, and I would think that animals are going to attack me at any moment, and they're going to lay traps for me to fall in, and skunks will be in my car, and a raccoon's going to unplug my treadmill while I'm running on it and break my back. And yeah, that kind of would have terrified me as a child. Anyways, that's the end of the video. This has been Furry Vengeance. If you want to watch the movie, you can rent it on YouTube for like $2, something like that, if you're interested. Check out this video, another terrible movie. This time is starring Tim Allen. I have been King Newsme. Thank you for watching the video. I love you all, and peace.